This is Amber Benett, and just about 2 years ago, she was unofficially crowned the most hated character on the internet. How, you may ask? Well, since it's been so long, we're gonna show down memory lane today to find out why in this video, because I have a feeling that she might be in for a redemption arc coming very soon. And who knows, maybe by the end of this season, she could become your favorite character on the show. It all starts in the first episode where she's being harassed by the school bully Todd, and in response to this, our main character Mark, aka Invincible before his powers, steps in to stop the barrage of taunts she's receiving. This doesn't go well and Mark receives a good old knuckle combo which basically KOs him, but this allows Amber to deliver the finishing blow and kick Todd in the nuts. The first sign of her brutality, I might add. Mark is in obvious pain at this point, but the only compensation she manages to utter out to him for what he just did is a measly thanks. And it's not like I'm saying that he deserves some sort of king's welcome, but I feel like he at least warrants something that shows more gratitude than a nonchalant thanks. I mean, he did just get his butt kicked by someone trying to defend her. But this does seem to plant something in her, and in a weird twist of events, Amber becomes infatuated with Mark, and even pulls some events in her favor to get his attention and send the message through. These ways include, but are not limited to, blackmailing Todd into giving her number to Mark, or she would, in quotes, release some embarrassing photos of him. And it's not really getting off to a good start, but hold on people, cause there's more to come. Mark eventually hits her line after some stumbling, and the two of them get off to a somewhat good start with a steady date being planned at Mark's house. Unfortunately, before Mark gets to enjoy his much wanted steady date, it gets interrupted by Cecil because superhero duties call, and he's gotta leave all the way to Mount Rushmore to save the day, so he leaves Amber mid-session, which makes her presumably annoyed. At this point, I must say her being mad at him for ghosting her on their steady date is completely warranted, because how would you feel if someone invited you for something and then less than 30 minutes later they came up with a terrible excuse of why they suddenly have to go? So as of right now, I agree with her reaction in that situation. Some way somehow though, Mark is able to use his protagonist charm to get back on her good side, because the series still needs these two to like each other, and he ends up taking her out on her date. During the date at the carnival, Mark and Amber open up to each other through some nice conversation, and it looks like for the first time since the series began, Mark is making good progress, and even lands the next day by the end of this one. Just when everything seems to be going well for both of them, Mark gets hit with the worst news possible when the mission to Mars forces him to leave the Earth for 2 weeks. She takes the news surprisingly well though, and gives him the grace period for that whole 2 weeks, which I think is out of character for the version of her character that gets portrayed through all of the videos that we see online. And when he gets back, she's ecstatic to see him and showers him with love, and I won't even lie. At this point, Amber is a chill girlfriend. I mean, her sarcastic and upbeat vibe gives her an awesome personality, and she's definitely someone I wouldn't mind being around with. But this is where this version of herself seemingly comes to an end, and we start to see the cracks in their relationship form as the strain of Mark being invincible starts to interfere with the stability of their relationship. It becomes worse as he starts canceling dates and being late for meetups, especially that time when he was late to meet her mom. She was very not happy with that. And after ending the night on a less than stellar note, Mark strives to come up with ways to remedy this whole situation, but she's more hesitant to let him off again. And again, I agree with how she's feeling and the measures she's taking, because Mark is slacking with this. And from Amber's point of view, it seems like he's not even ready to take their relationship seriously. But this is where we move to the beginning of the end. Mark pulls out another protagonist card and gets Amber to agree to a trip with him to Upstate University to do some scouting for where they might want to go after high school. It is at this point where I'm reminded how unrealistic character builds are in American media. Because how can you tell me that these high schoolers go to a whole university and still end up blending seamlessly into the environment as if they physically belong there? I mean, I'm all for designing characters to fit their role, but come on, how do you let this slide? Or maybe I'm the one tripping over here. Do all Americans look like this as soon as they hit that high school puberty growth spurt? And at this point, I'm thinking and questioning how American teenagers develop as compared to the rest of the world, but I digress. Mark makes it up to Amber and they live happily ever after. Video is done. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys. Psych. They have the biggest fight of their relationship so far as some robotic atrocity attacks the campus and Mark has to go invincible to stop it. This causes Amber to lose all the confidence she was building in him and completely cusses him out on the campus in front of everybody, which is the biggest red flag I think she's displayed so far. And I don't care how mad you might think she is, cussing your partner out like that in a public place is grounds for a straight separation. Mark doesn't see it that way and he becomes all depressed though. So Amber chills out at some party with some guy who invited her to lose some steam, and Mark isn't even able to do anything about it since he has to go invincible again because this time his best friend needs help. And I think this was an indication to all of us that it was essentially over between the two of them. After the trip, Mark tries to use his protagonist powers again on Amber, but it seems like it's all ran out because she's had enough and she drops the bombshell we've all been waiting for, which is the fact that she knew Mark was invincible this whole time. And this is the moment that caused all of the hate she receives from everyone. Because it's like, how are you aware of this super unlikely circumstance that forces your partner to ghost you from time to time, and how important it is for the survival of human beings, and still show no form of sympathy for him, still insisting that he was wrong to keep it a secret from her. I feel like she's never watched an episode of Batman the Animated Series or read any decent comic book to understand why superheroes usually keep their identities a secret from everybody and how it's not really their choice. Anyways, they are essentially done as a pair, and this is where I feel like her character truly stops being that endearing upbeat girl I was cheering on to that obnoxious stubborn person who only thinks about herself. And you might be saying, oh, but come on, look at the end of the season. Look at how she comes back to Mark when everything is over. This is where I look to prove my next point. Looking at how easily she came back to Mark when all that stuff happened between him and Omni-Man. Sure, you might say that that was a nice thing to do, and as a caring person, that's what's expected of you. But I at least say it was a result of pity. She only did that because she felt bad for him. And it's so different than ending a relationship with someone, but then agreeing to get back together because some sort of tragedy happens in their life. It has nothing to do with the fact that the person has fixed the issues that force you to end things with them in the first place. And that's where my problem is. If the person made you so uncomfortable that you were able to leave them, knowing full well the responsibility they were carrying, what makes you want to be with them so much all of a sudden? How different is Amber the day she turned Mark away from a few days later when she decides to come back after his dad obliterated him on that mountain? It would mean that either one, she didn't mean any of it and was just doing it to get back at him through emotional manipulation, or two, she now feels bad and wants things to go back to normal. Not because of some new revelation they experienced, but because of what he just went through. Which means that it is very likely that once this strategy simmers down, things will go back to how it was and another breakup will ensue. But enough of that psychoanalysis of Amber's actions up to this point. That's not what this video is for. Instead, it's how the relationship was set up in the final scenes between both of them. And taking into account how Mark and Amber were able to patch everything up and all their differences by the end of the first season, it's safe to say that she will be a returning character within this new season, which only means more appearances and probably tweaking her character to make her less insufferable to audiences across the internet. But how would you suppose they would do this without making it seem like a tasteless complete 360 from her normal character? I think she's going to become more accepting of Mark's superhero identity. I mean, she has to because the state of the galaxy is literally at risk. So I'm hoping she becomes more understanding of situations and conflicts instead of, jumping straight to conclusions to validate her emotions. Not only that, but I would also want to see her have more natural interactions with the people around her to give her character more depth, because we don't really have a lot to work with in that first season, except, her threatening people. And that is also a reason why most people summed her whole personality up as this annoying side character. Maybe if we were given more insight into her past experiences, we would finally understand why she decides to act the way that she does. And while it might not make us accept her situation and make her decisions any less obnoxious, it would at least provide a reason and give us a way to defend her. Suppose all of this is able to be executed properly within the show. I have no doubt that people would become more accepting of her because, as I mentioned earlier, she does have some cool qualities. And even though they became overshadowed as episodes went on and she was simply relegated to a nagging girlfriend, I for one would like to see how this would happen because I feel like it would be excellent storytelling and even excellent character development for her to slowly but surely win over the hearts of the people who dismissed her over 2 years ago. And when that happens, remember that you saw it and heard it here first. I mean, it wouldn't be the first video I've made on Invincible where I was able to make a prediction that turned out to be true. I'll leave that one in the description and in the cards, so be sure to click over and watch if you're interested. Also, I wanted to welcome all the newcomers that have happened to chance across this channel because it's been a very crazy past month in terms of growth and subscribers, and again, I'm very grateful. And I want you guys to feel at home by checking some of my older videos to get acquainted with the type of content that we put out on this channel. Now that that's taken care of, You can click this video right here to watch why Benson from Regular Show is always angry and why it makes sense. And you can also click over here to watch this video on why Netflix loves canceling cartoons. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, guys. Tune out.